Welcome back to The Mind, a podcast series by the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre in New Zealand. A conversation at the meeting point of modern science and the contemplative traditions of yoga and Vedanta. I'm Rama, your host. For several lessons now, the group has been mapping all the things that shape experience. The world's wave, the filter of the past, the static of noise. Most of those you cannot grab hold of directly. Today, they reach the one you can. Attention, Swamiji will say, is not a passive window you look through. It is an active beam you aim, and it has controls you can learn to work. Where it points, how bright it burns, how steady you hold it. These shape what you actually live. And because attention is the one lever truly in your hands, it is where the whole practical path begins. Attention and the construction of experience. Let's join them. The same room, evening. The lamp is on. Kai has notably left his phone face down on the table across the room.
Last time the practice was to lower the floor, not fight the noise. How did it go?
The quiet the room idea changed my evenings. When my head got loud, I stopped arguing with it and just put the phone away and stepped outside for a minute. The noise didn't vanish, but it dropped enough that I could think.
I did the daily breath thing, did not achieve inner silence before you ask. But I did start noticing little gaps like you said. 2 seconds of quiet here and there. Felt almost suspicious.
I used the reframe with a patient drowning in self-blame. A high noise floor, not a flaw. The relief on her face was immediate. And I noticed my own floor between patients more than once. It's high by mid-afternoon.
I made the first 2 minutes of a lesson calm and unhurried. The difference in what the class could then take in was real. Lower floor, more got through.
Good, all of you. And notice the thread. Each time, you didn't just lower the floor, you put your attention somewhere on purpose. That is today. Of everything we've studied that shapes your experience, attention is the one piece you can actually take hold of. So let's learn its controls.
You keep saying attention is the one thing I can train. Train it to do what exactly? Because right now, it mostly does what it wants.
Then let's make it concrete, Kai. Picture standing in a dark room with a torch. You don't see the whole room. You see wherever you point the beam. That's attention. The world is full of more than you can take in, and what you actually experience is mostly whatever your beam happens to land on. And here's the good news hidden in the picture. A torch has controls. 3 of them, and each can be trained.
Go on.
The first is how bright you turn it up, how much energy you actually pour into looking. The same lecture is fascinating or unbearable depending on how much you bring to it. That brightness comes from 2 things together, how awake and activated your body is and how much you genuinely care. You can be wired but scattered, lots of power, no aim. Or tired but riveted. Low power, but every bit of it aimed at one thing. It's the combination that counts. Real energy, actually directed.
That explains exhausted evenings where I'm listening to my daughter and taking in nothing. The torch is barely on.
Barely on, exactly, Sarah. And she can feel the dimness. The second control is where you aim it, and, more subtly, how well you tune to what's there. Everything has its own rhythm, a fast, darting thing, a slow, still thing. When the rhythm of your attention matches the rhythm of what you're attending to, understanding arrives almost without effort. It's like 2 tuning forks. Strike one, and a matching one across the room begins to sing on its own. Or like tuning a radio. Off the station, all you get is the wah and crackle we met before. Dead on it, the music simply appears, clear. A trained mind can find the station and hold it.
And an untrained one keeps drifting off the frequency. That's half my classroom, and honestly, half of me on a Friday.
Half of all of us, James. The third control is the subtlest. How well timed your attention is, whether you're truly in step with the thing. Think of pushing a child on a swing. Push at the right moment, in rhythm, and a small push sends them high. Push at the wrong moment, and you jolt against the swing and fight it. Attention is the same. You can be bright enough and even on the right frequency and still be slightly out of step. That feeling of, I'm following this, but it's not quite landing. When the timing locks in, there's a felt rightness, a sense of being genuinely with what you're attending to.
Brightness, aim, and timing. As a set of dials, a person could actually learn to adjust. That's far more useful than just telling someone to focus.
That's exactly why I offer it, Doctor. Focus harder gives no one a handle. Is your torch bright enough, pointed at the right thing, and steady gives 3. And one reassurance before we go on. Training the beam doesn't turn you into someone else. It just cleans the instrument, so what's already there comes through.
There's a tension I feel daily. Sometimes I need to go deep with one student, and sometimes I need to feel the whole room at once. They seem to pull against each other.
They genuinely do, James. And it's worth knowing it isn't a flaw in you. It's built into how attention works. Your torch can be a tight spotlight or a wide floodlight, and you can't have both at full strength at once. Narrow it to a spotlight on one student, and you'll know that one exchange in fine detail, but the boy at the back could drop something and you'd miss it. Open it to a floodlight over the whole room, and you'll catch the first ripple of restlessness anywhere, but you won't be deep with anyone. Depth or breadth. Choosing one always costs you some of the other.
So when I'm absorbed in a task and completely miss my son asking me something, that's not me being a bad mother. That's a spotlight.
That's a spotlight doing exactly what spotlights do, Sarah. The skill isn't to feel guilty about it, it's to choose the beam the moment needs and to be able to widen it when something matters. The contemplative training of attention is precisely this education of the beam. First, simply noticing where it goes and how restless it is. Then, learning to hold it narrow on one thing, which at the start feels like gripping, like forcing a wriggling beam to stay still. And then, with time, something eases. It stays narrow, but the grip falls away, steady and effortless, like oil pouring in a smooth, unbroken thread.
This gives me language for something I see constantly. A young patient assessed for attention difficulties isn't not paying attention. The beam is on, often very bright, but it won't hold its aim, it jumps. Framing it as a beam that needs steadying rather than a deficiency of effort is both kinder and more accurate, and it points at something trainable.
Far kinder and truer, Doctor, and it connects to what we learned last time. Remember the noise floor? A beam that's jumping everywhere keeps the floor high. All that scattered activity is itself noise. A beam that settles and holds lets the floor drop, and suddenly the quiet things become perceptible. So steadying the torch isn't only about the thing you're looking at. It quiets the whole room of the mind.
So, the steady beam and the quiet mind are the same achievement from two sides.
The very same, James. Steady the beam and you lower the floor. Lower the floor and the beam steadies more easily. They help each other.
Here is the question I most want answered. My anxious patients genuinely see danger everywhere, in a colleague's neutral email, in a friend's short reply. They are not making it up. They truly perceive threat. How?
Because of something both your science and ours agree on, Doctor, from opposite ends. The mind does not sit there passively receiving the world. It is constantly guessing what's about to happen, based on everything that's happened before, and a great deal of what you see is actually that guess. The senses mostly send back the difference between the guess and what's really there. So the real question in any moment is, how much weight does your attention give to the guess, and how much to what's actually in front of you?
And in anxiety?
In anxiety, the beam is locked onto the guess. The conditioned mind predicts something is wrong, something threatens me, and attention pours its whole weight there. Information that would contradict it, the colleague's actual warmth, the friend simply being busy, arrives faintly, because almost no attention is left to receive it. So the person isn't perceiving the room, they're perceiving their own prediction of the room, laid over it like a slide. The friend's email is neutral. The forecast says, danger, and they live the forecast.
I do a smaller version with my teenagers. One short reply and my mind has the whole story written. They're upset with me. I've done something. I'm reading my prediction.
You're reading your prediction, Sarah, and here's the freeing part. It's the same move every time, and it's an attention move. You notice the guess as a guess. That's a story my mind is generating, and you deliberately turn the beam toward what's actually present. The real words, the real face, the actual evidence in front of you. You don't argue the fear away, you re-aim. And the experience changes because you've changed where the weight of attention falls. Same conversation, two completely different worlds, depending on whether the beam rests on the one moment a smile faltered or on the overall warmth of the whole exchange.
And depression? Because there the problem doesn't feel like a misaimed beam. It feels like the beam is barely on.
You've put your finger on the crucial difference, Doctor. In low, depressed states, there are two things at once. The beam is locked onto a different forecast. Nothing matters, I can't, it's pointless, and everything gets read through it. But also the brightness itself has collapsed. There's simply very little energy to move the beam at all. And this matters enormously for what helps. You cannot just tell someone in that state to look at the positives. The torch is too dim to move on command. You often have to raise the brightness first, and that happens through the body. Gentle movement, breath, a change of posture, rest, before the mind has the energy to re-aim at all.
That sequencing matches what I see clinically and never had a clean reason for. Body first to restore some energy, then the attention work can actually take. And of course, none of this is something I'd do instead of proper care. It sits alongside it.
Alongside it, always, and the two strengthen each other. Both anxiety and low mood, seen this way, are not verdicts on a person. They're the beam caught in a pattern, locked on a forecast, sometimes with the power cut low. The signal of the actual present is still there. And there's one more guard, because aiming well is not enough on its own. You also have to see clearly what is true, or you'll simply hold the beam rock steady on a false story and feel more certain of it. Clear discernment has to walk with steady attention. A focused mind pointed at its own fearful conviction is not freer, it's more trapped. So the practical on-ramp is wonderfully humble. You don't have to believe any of this. You only have to ask, many times a day, where is my attention right now? And then, can I move it?
Okay, I'll say the obvious thing. My attention does not feel like mine most of the day. My phone basically drives it. I pick it up to check one thing and surface 20 minutes later not knowing where I went.
You've named the most important application of all of this, Kai, and I'm glad you put your phone across the room before we started. Your attention is a real, finite, valuable thing, and you are not the only one who wants it. A great deal of what's on that screen is carefully engineered to grab your torch and aim it, built around the frequencies that reliably catch a mind, novelty, alarm, outrage, the little jolt of being compared to others, and to deliver them again and again.
The ping that yanks my head up mid-sentence.
Every ping is a hand reaching for your beam to swing it somewhere new. Every like and count is a small turn of your brightness dial, run up by the wish to be approved of. It isn't a conspiracy, and the designers aren't villains, they're simply using what's known about attention. But the effect, lived from the inside, is that your torch spends much of the day held by other hands and pointed at what serves them, not at what you'd have chosen, not at your own clarity.
This is the thing I most worry about for my kids, and, if I'm honest, for me.
It's a reasonable thing to attend to, Sarah, for them and for yourself. And the remedy is exactly what we've been practicing. Nothing exotic. Notice, without scolding yourself, where the beam is being pulled. See the hand reaching for it. And then, deliberately, take the controls back. Less coming in, some genuine quiet, stretches with no screen at all. A steady practice that lets the mind settle its own aim instead of being aimed. When you reclaim the torch, you stop being merely driven by whatever shouts loudest, and you become available again to what's actually in front of you, which is where your life is actually happening.
Take the controls back. I think I'd been assuming the torch just wasn't mine to hold.
It is yours, Kai. It always was. Learning that, and learning to hold it, is most of the freedom this whole module has been pointing toward. This week, one question, asked often, and one small action. Where is my attention right now, and can I move it? Sarah, once a day when a worry story about your children has grabbed the beam, catch it. That's my forecast. And deliberately turn your attention to the actual child in front of you, what they're really saying and doing. Notice the experience change, though nothing outside has.
Catch the forecast, re-aim onto the real child. Yes.
James, choose your beam on purpose for once, instead of letting the day scatter it. Pick one stretch for a tight spotlight, deep with one student or one task, and one stretch for a wide floodlight, just feeling the whole room. Notice that you chose, rather than being scattered by default.
Deliberately set spotlight or floodlight. I've never framed it as a choice before.
Kai, for one scrolling session, just watch your torch being yanked, and name it each time. That's the feed aiming my beam. You don't even have to stop. Just see the hand on the torch. Then, once, take one control back, put it down and take 3 breaths.
Watch the hand, name it, take one control back. I can do that without pretending I'll quit cold.
And Dr. Watson, 2 things. With an anxious patient, the gentle move. Notice the forecast as a forecast. Then look together for what's actually present right now. With a patient in a low, flat state, raise the brightness first, a short walk, breath, movement, before expecting any re-aiming, and always alongside their proper care. And for yourself, between patients, one question. Where is my beam? And is it where I want it?
Re-aim for the anxious. Raise the brightness first for the low and check my own beam between rooms. I'll bring back what I find.
Then we've taken hold of the one lever that's truly in your hands. Next time, what steadies this restless beam so it doesn't take constant effort? The answer is coherence, when the scattered parts of you start pulling together.
So today the group reached the one lever that is genuinely in your hands. Attention is not a passive window. It is a torch you aim, with 3 controls you can train. How bright you turn it, the energy you actually bring, where you point and tune it, matching the rhythm of what is there so understanding arrives like a radio finding its station. and how steady you hold it, truly in step, like pushing a swing in time. It can be a deep spotlight or a wide floodlight, but not both at once. And because the mind largely shows you its own forecast of the world, the freeing move, in anxiety, in a worry story, in a hijacked afternoon of scrolling, is the same. Notice the forecast as a forecast, and re-aim toward what is actually here, raising the brightness first, through the body, when the beam has gone dim. Where attention goes, experience follows, which means the torch is yours to take hold of. To go deeper, the full Lesson 3.5 is available in the course Beginners, Conversations on the Mind in the Light of Modern and Spiritual Sciences on the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center's website, www.vedanta.nz. It is also available as an app on Google Play and the Apple App Store by searching for Vedanta NZ. Next time, coherence. What gathers the scattered mind so steadiness stops being a struggle? Until then, be gentle with your mind.